What if 44 students committed a horrifying crime, and 20 years later, were living free with families and successful careers? Then, what if a handful of YouTubers decided to burn all of that to the ground overnight? This is the story of the Miryang Incident, a case that has forced South Korea to question the very meaning of justice, privacy, and revenge. The originals in the Miryang gang rape back in 2004, in the city of Miryang, South Korea. A 14-year-old girl's life was systematically destroyed for nearly a year. It all started with an online chat, a seemingly innocent connection that spiraled into an unimaginable nightmare. 44 male high school students lured her into a trap. Over the next 11 months, they subjected her to repeated gang rapes. To guarantee her silence, they filmed the assaults, weaponizing her own trauma to blackmail and control her. The sheer scale of the crime was staggering, not just because of how many perpetrators there were, but because of the
calculated cruelty behind it. This wasn't some isolated attack, it was a prolonged campaign of terror waged against a child. And these weren't strangers in the shadows. They were students, classmates, and neighbors, a fact that sent a chill through the community and the nation as the details started leaking out. The city of Miryang was no longer just a name on a map. It became synonymous with a crime that would expose deep cracks in the systems meant to protect the vulnerable. The public was horrified, but for the victim, the ordeal was far from over. In many ways, it was just beginning. Calculated cruelty behind it. This wasn't some isolated attack, it was a prolonged campaign of terror waged against a child. And these weren't strangers in the shadows. They were students, classmates, and neighbors, a fact that sent a chill through the community and the nation as the details started leaking out. The city of Miryang was no longer just a name on a map, it became synonymous with a crime.
The unforgiven, 20 years of silence. 20 years went by, the world moved on, and the memory of Miryang faded for many, but not for everyone. While the victim was left to pick up the pieces of a life shattered by trauma, her attackers just stepped back into society. Since they had no criminal records, they were free to build new lives. They went to college, got jobs, married, and had children of their own. One opened a popular restaurant that was praised by a celebrity chef. Another started a successful career at an imported car dealership. They were living out in the open, their horrific pasts buried under a veneer of normal, successful lives. This simmering injustice was an open wound in South Korea. The fact that dozens of men who had committed such a heinous crime were living without any real consequences was a source of deep, persistent public anger. Documentaries and films would occasionally touch on the case, causing brief flare-ups of outrage, but nothing ever stuck. The perpetrators remained untouched, protected by a legal system that had prioritized their futures over the victim's present. It really seemed like they had gotten away with it completely. But silence is fragile, and secrets are harder to keep than ever. The fuse of public fury, first lit in 2004, had been quietly burning ever since, just waiting for a spark. This type of true digital crime stories? Subscribe to our Darklight Stories channel to get a notification of a new upload, because we bring this type of interesting stories every week.